Okay, so I said I was gonna leave this whole, I feel stupid, I can't figure out the discrepancy in my budget thing alone and go on to something else. I do have other things I need to do. I've been a part of this art league for a few months now and I haven't submitted anything to any of the art galleries or contributed in any way. In addition to trying to make these videos, I'm also trying to get better at drawing because it's been something I've been really wanting to do for a while now, like a long time, years. Finally joined this art league and I'm not even doing anything because I won't sit down and just draw. I could be doing that, but I feel like I am not going to let myself move on from this until I get out what I want it to say, so I'm just going to make this video. It might suck, it might be crap, it might not make sense, but I'm just going to try to say something so I can try to move on. Okay, so I guess let me explain why I feel incompetent when it comes to keeping a budget. I will just go through it in like a list to get it over with. Whenever I do have a problem and I feel like I need help trying to figure it out, I feel like I have trouble explaining what the problem is to like whoever I'm asking for help. Like I can't articulate what's wrong, or I can't articulate why I can't figure out the situation, and then they'll like kind of give an answer and I'll be like, oh, just do this, and I'm like I don't know, it's not seeking in. I feel like they didn't really, you know, I have like all these reasons why I don't feel like I can figure out the answer, and then they're like, oh, just do this, and I'm like, but you're not considering all this other stuff, and that's not really answering my question. So I feel like I can't even tell people what the problem is sometimes. So that's one reason I feel like I'm dumb. Another thing I don't know is if the way that the method I'm using to check my budget is, good. I mean, I get a lot of discrepancies at the end of the day, so I don't know. Should I even be checking the budget? I mean, like, I got this stuff when I have a financial textbook because I took a course in personal finances, and, you know, that's kind of where I took the template for this budget that I'm making, and they didn't say anything about going through and checking your budget, so maybe it's dumb to check your budget, I don't know. I mean, what should I be doing to make sure that I don't forget to count some money that I had out that I guess I forgot to count? That's the seems like the most accurate thing I can think of that caused this particular discrepancy to happen. Was just, I don't know, some money, cash money that I had went somewhere, or I don't know, I have more than I thought. I don't know, but should I be doing something to make sure that doesn't happen? Simple thing is 2.5 hours, a decent amount of time to do all that stuff, to, you know, put in the actual amounts I spent, check it, and then make up the new budget for the next month, or is that excessive? It used to take me longer than that until I kind of got used to it and got on a roll with it, but it used to take me longer, and now it's, you know, that's about the average that I spend. And most of that is on trying to figure out discrepancies that I had made, because there's usually, I feel like there is a discrepancy of some sort, so I don't know. How much is the average person spending on working up a budget each month? Is there a simple way to figure out the discrepancy? I'm gonna go over this in a minute about how I feel like it takes me so long to figure out what's wrong, or to figure out solutions to what's wrong. Like, what could it be? Like, is there like a checklist of like, this is the first thing you should check, and then you check this next, and you kind of go through a line to see what's wrong? Or do people just normally look at it and go like, oh, I probably did this, let's see, oh yeah, that's what it was, and it just doesn't take a long time? Or is it normal to kind of be like, oh, what, I don't know. Okay, so another reason is because I feel like I don't treat keeping a budget the way other people do. Like, whenever I keep a budget, I'm very strict about how it's done, how the receipts are kept. You know, I'm very, I guess, like, nitty gritty down to the nickel. Like, you know, all the change has to be right, and if something is off by like 1 cent, I'm like, oh, we gotta get to the bottom of this. Whereas, you know, and this is something I wouldn't have thought, you know, used to have thought is abnormal or counterproductive. I'd be like, why wouldn't you want to know? Why wouldn't you want to figure this out? But in more recent times, I'm starting to see like, maybe this isn't right. Maybe this isn't what everybody else is doing or what you're supposed to do. I mean, the point of a budget is to just make sure you're not overspending, and to kind of keep track of where your money is going over, you know, a course of however long. And you know, when you get down to the end of it, it's not, when you make your estimates for how much you're going to spend, you're not going to ever know if you're going to spend that exact cent amount. So if your change is a little off, it might not be such a big deal, but for me, I feel like it is a big deal, and we can't deal with any discrepancy in change, no matter how small. And the other thing is, when I was dealing with this problem, I had more money than what I thought I should have had. So maybe most people would have looked at that and said, oh, I did good, I have more money, and they would have just went on to the next month because, you know, they're not hurt, you know, nothing bad happened to them. It was actually kind of a good thing. But I feel like that's still wrong, because you need to get your information right, and you need to know, like, you know, if you had more money left over that month, maybe you didn't spend as much as you thought you did, or you had money coming from somewhere that you didn't know about, and you need to know where that money was coming from. So, I don't know if you should worry about that so much to where you don't do the budget for the month that you're currently on, and you go an entire month without a budget, and then you don't know what to do for the next month because you already missed this month. But that's something I worry about. I feel kind of dumb when it comes to just doing things for the reason they were intended, and not doing them for the purpose of, you know, making sure everything's exactly correct and all procedures are met exactly. This is another thing, since I've been trying to figure out all this stuff for, you know, last month's budget, I've been trying to fix this discrepancy. I didn't make a budget for this month. This month is over, and I just kind of tried not to spend that much because I didn't want to spend too much because I didn't make a budget to go off of. But now I'm like, it is literally the last day of September, and I'm like, oh my god, I gotta, next month, like hopefully in the first week or so, I gotta make the budget for September, because I have to have a September budget, because I've done a budget for all the other months. You know, even though the month's over and I already spent what I was gonna spend, I still gotta do it, just so I can have a budget to be uniform with whatever else I've done. And I know now, this is, I think, is part of the OCPD, if I do have that, you know, that even though it's not practical for me to, you know, mark up a budget for how much I'm going to spend for September, because the month already passed, it's not going to do me any good, I still need to do it just because I had one for all the other months. Like, I have to do it. But I also feel like, you know, in the state of mind that I am now, because I know now that for that reason, making a budget might not be so smart, and maybe I could get away with not doing it. But do I need to go back and make a budget so I can at least list my actual amounts? I don't need to estimate what I'm going to spend, because I already spent what I was going to spend. But to do the actual amounts, just so I can keep track of what, you know, I actually spent, so when I think about the future, I can go back and look and see, you know, my spending patterns from the past. I feel like, you know, I would still need to have those. But I feel like, what's the point if I don't know if I did everything right from this month? Like, I could have, you know, there was the discrepancy, and I don't really know why it was there. What if all my actual amounts are completely wrong? And I just had this realization. I mean, 1 month of incorrect actual amounts on my budget, is that going to really screw me up for, I mean, I have so many months of seemingly correct. I mean, there were discrepancies, but I was able to, they weren't as big, I don't think, and I was kind of able to at least guess where the discrepancy came from. But this time, I feel like it was a pretty big discrepancy, and I'm very confused where it came from, because I double checked, like, everything, I feel like, and it seemed all correct. So should I just discount that entire month? I feel like that's what I would have done in the past. So I just would have been like, oh, all this year's, just scrap all the budgets I've done for this year, just scrap, because this 1 month didn't work out. This month's is, you know, I can't use anything from this month because I messed it up, but I don't know, maybe I can still use it because it still might be mostly right. I feel like that is the right answer, but I still feel uncomfortable about it. Like, it's just icky to me. Like, I don't want to do that. So yeah, I don't know if I should even go back and bother recording everything from this month, since this month's over. And I don't know what the smart decision is to do for that particular thing. And then I have to worry about next month's budget. I'm going to be busy figuring out what to do. I'm still figuring out what to do with this month's budget, because I still want to figure out what the discrepancy was, even though I don't know if I can. And I've been working on it for so long, and maybe I should just start over and be like, oh, well, I have this much money now. We're going into next month with this much money. Instead of trying to figure out why I have more money than I thought I should. So, what should be my priority? Making the budget for next month, or trying to figure out the discrepancy from last month, or trying to figure out, you know, all my actual amounts for this month and make sure they're right. That's another thing. I don't know. I have trouble prioritizing things like that, and I really don't know how to move forward. Okay, so I think this video has probably been going on long enough at this point. So I think I'm going to end it. But there's another section of things that I wanted to talk about on this subject to feel satisfied, like I can move on. And I think I'll do that in another video where I'm basically talking about, I was trying to figure out what could be the cause of the discrepancy, and I kind of went through and thought about it, and I listed how long it took me to think about what could be causing it, and I wanted to see if, you know, how long it took me to have those thoughts and see if that was like normal. But I'm gonna be done for this one.